The strange discovery was made on August 24, 2016 in Pinyin, a small village in southwest China. The mysterious giant footprints show signs that they are the real deal and not some artistic carving. The erosion of the rock in which the footprints are embedded suggests an age of several thousand years, possibly more. Many people are convinced that in ancient times, a race of giant humans roamed the land, and this belief is supported by multiple archaeological finds, several fossilized remains such as giant femur bones and skulls, and enormous weapons that couldn't possibly have belonged to regular-sized humans. On top of those, the prevalence of legends describing the ancient giants and their impossible feats in the mythology of so many cultures offer further backing to the hypothesis that giants once roamed the land. The giant footprints discovered in China measure a staggering 22.5 inches, 57 centimeters, in length and are 8 inches, 20 centimeters, wide. Each of the footprints is embedded at a depth of 1.2 inches, 3 centimeters, which suggests that the humanoid who left them must have been an impressive specimen. Estimates place his height at approximately 16.5 feet, or around 5 meters. Can you imagine how that giant must have towered above the typical humans it shared its environment with? Would anyone have dared to oppose him? Unfortunately, not a lot of details regarding this particular find exist, save for several photos that boggle the mind. Similar findings have been made on almost all corners of the globe, and while some have been discredited as fakes, a large number remains, and their implications continue to baffle the scientific world. Last month, the internet went wild with speculation about the existence of ancient giants when a set of equally humongous footprints were photographed at the ruins of the Ain Dara temple in Syria. The photographs once again brought into discussion the idea that long ago, beings known as the Nephilim roamed the land. When it comes to ancient giants, the scientific world is in denial. Afraid of being ridiculed, anthropologists and archaeologists refuse to acknowledge the evidence, even when it's right under their noses. When such discoveries are made, those with hidden agendas quickly swoop in, collect the relics, and proceed to suppress the information. With the media in their pockets and the authorities on their payroll, you can be sure that less than 1% of the truly valuable findings ever make it to the public scene. Because of this, people with a natural curiosity, a penchant for the unexplained, and a tendency to believe the Earth's history is different from what we learned in school are met with scorn and sarcasm. The sheep will prevail because they are many and have been spoon-fed a cold broth made of lies and trickery. Believe me, I speak from experience. Take a look at the video below. You won't understand a thing because it's in Romanian, but allow me to break it down. This old farmer talks about excavations that took place in the 1950s in the village of Mihailesti in Romania. As a young man, he needed money, so he joined the workforce at an archaeological site in his village. Archaeologists were looking for artifacts from a previously unknown ancient culture, and while they were at it, the diggers accidentally stumbled upon the final resting place of a number of giant humanoids. The digging was immediately halted, and authorities from Bucharest, the capital of Romania, were quickly called in. By the end of the week, and with the utmost secrecy, the fossilized remains of ancient giants, multiple skulls included, were taken away in covered flatbed trucks. Those who participated were warned against disclosing what they witnessed, the penalty for spilling the bins being imprisonment. Prisons in communist Romania were notoriously inhumane, so you can be sure the diggers kept quiet. After the communist regime fell in 1989, those who were still alive finally mustered the courage to speak up. When I first saw this interview, I felt that I needed to speak with this old man, so I drove to Mihailesti in search of him and his stories of ancient giants. When I got there, locals directed me to an old, modest house where they told me old man Vasil still lived. In good cheer, Vasil invited me in, and over a cup of plum brandy, we exchanged stories. He told me that he never wanted any publicity, and that became apparent from his general demeanor. He was a simple man in his 80s, living alone in what was basically a brick hut with no running water or central heating. A farmer for most of his life, he had no desire to spread lies. He swore on everything he kept dearly that the skulls they unearthed 6 decades ago were at least twice the size of regular ones. He also told me that one day, Shortly after the video below made it to the evening news, two men in black suits parked their nondescript car in front of his humble abode and started asking questions. They presented no ID. They simply told him they worked for the government. After the formal interview ended, they told Vasyl he talked too much and that being a blabbermouth would get him in trouble. Vasyl told me he couldn't care less. He was an old man, he felt that he had lived long enough. He had no children and his wife had died in 1999. Let them come for me, I'll welcome them like I did with you, he told me laughing. I've had my full of the man and his plans. I left late that night with an unshakable feeling that I really knew nothing about our world's past. This happened some years before I started writing about aliens, UFOs and forbidden history, but it was one of the experiences that set me on this path. Last year, after I started UFOholic, I went back to Mihail SD in search of Vasyl and the chance to get an exclusive interview. His brick home was empty and overrun with vegetation. The neighbors told me he had passed away that spring at the ripe old age of 85. I never found out whether it was natural or the work of the men in black. On the way back, I wondered what else he might have known and how much he actually chose to keep to himself. I was sure the man had seen and touched actual giant remains. Jiravi, the villagers called them, and local folklore is rife with stories of their feats of strength. As I'm writing this, I am curious about what the Jiravi would think of my efforts to uncover their true identity. Would they be pleased, or would my head fall to where my feet currently are?
Thank you for watching. Please give us a like and don't forget to subscribe.